I clocked out early that day, skipped the year-end bonus dinner, and spent $540 on a last-minute flight just to make it home for Christmas Eve. When I finally arrived, the only thing waiting for me was a sticky note stuck to a dining chair, reserved for Brian's fiancée. My mom looked at me and said, like it was nothing, "She's new here." Then came the follow-up shrug. "We figured you wouldn't mind standing." I didn't argue. Didn't ask questions. I just said, "Sure," grabbed my bag and walked right out. Half an hour later, as I was trudging down the icy street, my phone buzzed. A message from my sister, so sensitive. It wasn't a big deal. I stared at the screen, fingers frozen in mid-reply, heart thudding. Then I did something different. I opened my banking app and put a stop to the monthly support I'd been quietly sending to my parents. But what really flipped the switch was something my dad said at exactly 9:04 p.m. That was the moment everything snapped into place. I'd flown across the country for this, spent $540 on a one-way ticket, left my office at noon, missed a company celebration, threw a few things in a duffel, and ran for the airport like family still meant something. Like being there actually mattered. I hadn't seen them face-to-face since the previous Christmas. We'd kept up with the group video calls, shared birthday texts, the usual "miss you too" emojis, but this year was supposed to be different. This year I came home. I had pictured everything: the smell of ham roasting in the oven, my mom inevitably burning the first batch of cookies, my dad getting choked up during the midnight prayer and pretending it was nothing. I'd imagined my spot at the table like it was still mine. But apparently it wasn't. Turns out, someone else had already claimed it. I walked into the dining room, snow still dripping from my hair, clutching a half-wet gift bag with Dad's favorite whiskey inside, and that's when I saw it. That little pink post, stuck right on the back of a chair. Reserved for Brian's fiancée. That was it. No punchline. No, just kidding. Just 5 handwritten words in Mom's tidy script. I stood there staring at it, like maybe if I looked hard enough, it would vanish. Maybe I was misreading it. Then Mom stepped out of the kitchen, smiling like I hadn't just flown through 3 time zones to be there. "She's new," she said again, like that explained everything. "We figured you'd be fine standing." Standing. Like I was part of the catering staff. Or worse, like I didn't even belong. I nodded quiet. Almost automatic. Then I turned, picked up my bag, and walked out the front door without another word. 31 minutes later, my phone vibrated again. So sensitive. It wasn't a big deal. That was it. No name attached. Just those few words from my sister, tossed out like an afterthought. I stared at the message, thumb hovering over the reply button, chest tight with anger. But instead of responding, I launched my banking app again. This time, I paused every family support transfer I had set up over the years. Done. But like I said, what really shook me wasn't the sticky note. That was just the match. The fumes had been leaking for years, and I just hadn't smelled it, or maybe I ignored it because I wanted to. I didn't even go back to my hotel. Instead, I pulled into a gas station down the street, cranked up the heat until my ears burned, and sat there watching the snow pile up across the windshield. Thinking, here's the truth, I've always been the one who made things easier for them. When I landed my first real job in tech, my dad looked me square in the eye and said, "Now you can finally take care of your family." It wasn't a joke. He meant it. Like, seriously, start paying the bills. So I did. Without complaining. I started covering their internet. Then the car insurance. Then came the heating bills during winter. Quietly. Automatically. Because I thought that's what a good son was supposed to do. Then there was Brian. He was the golden boy. The dreamer. Dropped out of college, couch surfed for a while, said he was finding himself. After his ski startup crashed and burned, he limped back home broke and lost. And what did I do? I let him move in with me, for 9 months. Rent-free. On top of that, I paid for his therapy, because he said it would help him get his focus back. When Mom needed dental surgery last year, and insurance didn't cover the full cost, I swiped my card, $3 for $100. When Dad's old Ford finally gave out and he needed something reliable to get to church, I co-signed for a new car. And I never said a word. Not when I skipped vacations. Not when I was eating peanut butter sandwiches at work while wiring money for someone else's cable bill. So when my sister fired off that so sensitive text, I wanted to chuck my phone into the snowbank. But I didn't. Instead, I opened our family group chat and started scrolling. Months of messages. Patterns began to jump out. Every time I shared a win, like a new promotion or a big project, I get maybe 1 or 2 polite replies. But when Brian's girlfriend posted a picture of some cookies she baked, boom, 27 comments, 3 heart emojis, and mom chiming in, she's such a keeper. And it wasn't just that. I remembered last July, when I flew in, unannounced, to surprise mom for her birthday. I landed at midnight, crashed on the couch because Brian had taken over my old room, for now, and woke up to an empty house. They'd taken his girlfriend, the same one from the post-it note, on a wine-tasting trip. I found a note on the fridge, be back by 5. Make yourself comfortable. They didn't even leave me a piece of cake. And yes, I still paid the next gas bill. Because that's how I was raised, to be the stable one. The responsible one. The invisible one. Meanwhile, Brian? He shows up drowning in debt, no credit, and a girl he met 3 months ago, and they roll out the red carpet. They even gave her my chair. That sticky note wasn't just about where someone would sit. It said everything. You're not needed anymore. So I made some calls. I canceled every auto transfer I'd set up. Told my accountant to freeze the contributions I'd been quietly pouring into the family trust all these years, because my dad didn't want a retirement plan that involved taxes. And for the first time in a very long time, I did something that was just for me. I ordered Thai food. Takeout. Hot, messy, spicy, and entirely selfish. And it tasted like peace. I asked for it extra spicy. Sat in that quiet hotel room, laptop open, Netflix rolling in the background. And for the first time in a while, my mind felt clear. No guilt. No second-guessing. Just peace, until the clock hit 9:04 p.m. That's when my phone lit up. It was Dad. I stared at the screen, hesitating. Should I answer? I thought about it for a second, then tapped the green button. Hey, I said, flat as cardboard. There was a pause, one of those long, loaded silences that says more than words. You left, he said. Sure did. Your mom's really upset. She's also the one who decided my seat belonged to someone else, I said. Another silence, even longer this time. She didn't mean anything by it. Maybe not, I said. Let's pretend that's true. What about Brian? He texted me 2 hours ago asking if I'd help pay for their wedding next summer. Nothing. Dead quiet on the other end. Right, I said. Guess you didn't know about that part. He let out a long, familiar sigh. The kind that weighed 100 pounds. You know how it is. Brian's not as fortunate as you. Fortunate. I let out a sharp laugh. No, Brian's careless. I'm the one who cleans up after him. That's not luck. That's responsibility. He's trying. She's been good for him, Dad said, like that was some sort of excuse. Yeah, well, she's also sitting in the chair meant for me. Don't be dramatic. There was the magic phrase. The one they always whipped out any time I dared to express something real. I closed my eyes and rubbed the bridge of my nose. You know what, Dad? I'm done. Done being the guy who works 60 hours a week just so the rest of you can play make-believe. I'm done being the safety net. We never asked you to be, he said, his voice thin. That's bull. You expected it. You assumed that just because I never made a fuss, I was okay carrying everyone. I wasn't. I'm not. And I haven't been for a long, long time. Silence again. Then softly, son, it's Christmas Eve. Yeah, I said, looking out the motel window at a gas station sign blinking in the snow. And I'm spending it alone, in a room that smells like cleaning fluid and regret. All because you needed Brian's fiancée to feel welcomed more than you needed your own son to feel like he mattered. Dad didn't say a word after that. So I ended the call. I didn't hear from him again for 4 days. I had no intention of going back, not after that stunt. Not after the silence. Not after everything they let slide. Then 3 days after Christmas, my phone buzzed again. Brian. His name flashed across the screen. My gut said ignore it, but curiosity is a stubborn little thing. I picked up. What? There was hesitation on the other end. Then, hey man. Weird question, but did you cancel the family transfers? I leaned back in the motel chair. Yeah. I did. You didn't tell anyone. Didn't need to. Okay, he said slowly. Well, things are kinda tight. The January mortgage didn't clear. I know, I said flatly. Silence. Then, using a tone so soft and fake it made my skin crawl, he asked, maybe we could talk? I laughed. Loud and honest. Oh, now you want to talk? What changed, Brian? Out of post-it notes? It was just a seat, bro. No, I said. It was a message. Loud and clear. You and Mom both made it pretty obvious. I hung up. 5 minutes later, Mom texted, can we meet for coffee? Please. It's not what you think. I didn't answer. I already knew exactly what it was. That night, Dad called. I let it ring. He left a voicemail. I think we should talk. In person. Sunday dinner. My heart pounded as I stared at the screen. Sunday dinner. The old ritual. Pot roast, apple pie, fake smiles, and me quietly footing the bill while everyone else played house. Something inside me said I should go. Not to make peace. Not to hug it out. But to say what needed to be said. So Sunday evening, I drove over. Knocked once, then walked in like I always had. The house was spotless. Too spotless. Like they were preparing for a ceasefire. Mom came out first, apron tied up, smiling like we hadn't just ghosted each other for a week. You came, she said, all sugary. Dad sat in his chair, holding his glasses like they were keeping him busy. Brian and his fiancée were planted on the couch. She wouldn't even look at me. Maybe she was embarrassed. Dinner's almost ready, Mom said in that cheerful tone. No need, I told her. I didn't come to eat. The room went still. I came here to say a few things I should have said a long time ago. Sweetheart, Mom began. No, I cut her off. You don't get to sweetheart me. Not after what you pulled. It was just a post-it note? I laughed. You think this is about that chair? That was just the last straw. This is about 20 years of being treated like I'm just the dependable one. Not a person. Just a solution. Brian scoffed. Dude, you're being dramatic again. Don't. I turned to Dad. You let it happen. You watched me kill myself working overtime, paying bills, skipping vacations, while throwing Brian a party for remembering to tie his shoes. You let him sit in my seat. And ask me for money. In the same breath. Dad slowly got up from his chair. We never asked you to. Exactly, I said. You didn't ask. You expected it. Because I never said no. Brian leaned forward. You were always the one with money. You don't even have kids. It wasn't that big a deal. I turned to him, fists clenched at my sides. You want to know what is a big deal? Working 60-hour weeks so Mom can have premium cable, and you can throw a vineyard wedding for some woman you met on Tinder. I was good enough to pay for your therapy, but not good enough to sit at the damn dinner table. Mom looked like she might cry. We didn't mean to hurt you. You didn't mean anything, Mom. That's the problem. You didn't think. Not about me. Only about what I could give. The room went quiet. Heavy. Then I reached into my coat and pulled out an envelope. Set it on the table. Dad squinted. What's this? Your taxes, I said. I'm not doing them this year. You'll need to hire a new CPA. What? Mom blinked like she couldn't follow. I transferred the car lease back into Dad's name. Insurance is canceled. You've got 60 days before your health coverage under my plan ends. Then I looked over at Brian. That wedding fund you texted me about? Go ahead and spend it, on chairs. Because I'm not coming. You're not serious, Mom gasped. Oh yeah, I was dead serious. You made room for someone else at the table. Now, I'm making space for myself. And just like that, I walked out. Nobody chased me down. Nobody begged me to stay. This time, they knew what they were losing. When I left that house, I was ready for silence. But what surprised me was how peaceful that silence felt. It wrapped around me like armor. No buzzing phone, no guilt-laden texts, No, can you just help this once? Which always meant a dozen more times. Just pure quiet. Monday morning, I showed up at the office with a smile so big it caught my receptionist off guard. Did you win the lottery? She asked. I laughed. Kind of. Didn't explain why. That was the first morning in years I drank my coffee hot. Ate lunch without constantly checking my bank balance after sending rent money to someone else. Slept through the night without waking up to a bro, "Can you cover me till Friday?" text from Brian. But by Wednesday, the texts started rolling in again. First, from Mom. "Mom, honey, your dad's upset. He says we need to talk. Please come by this weekend." Ignored. Then Brian. "Hey man, Dad says you canceled their dental insurance? That's messed up. And do you still have the Hulu login? We can't get in." I blocked him. Then came the call from Dad. I didn't pick up. He left a voicemail that started calm and ended sounding like a threat. "I just don't understand how you can abandon your family like this. After everything we've done for you." I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my phone. After everything they'd done for me? You mean like giving my chair away to a stranger? Like sucking every financial bailout I offered, and then treating me like the difficult kid whenever I set a boundary? Nope. Not this time. They expected me to cave. To feel guilty. To take it back like I always did. But instead, I did something worse. For them, anyway. Thrive. I signed up for a 2-week photography retreat in Oregon. Something I'd wanted to do forever but never could because I was always footing someone else's bills. I rejoined my gym. Took long walks. Deleted the family group chat. Blocked my sister when she tried to add me back. I grabbed drinks with coworkers and, for once, didn't lie about why I looked exhausted all the time. I told the truth. My family was a financial black hole. I finally cut the cord. One guy raised his glass. Respect. That word meant something different now. Respect wasn't about keeping the peace. It was about saying no more. Then came the call. 9:04 p.m. Exactly 2 weeks after that Christmas Eve disaster. I almost didn't answer. The number was blocked. But something made me swipe. "Hello." The voice on the other end was soft. "Hey, it's Dad." He sounded older. Tired. "Okay," he said. "I'm at the hospital." I sat up. "What happened?" "Your mom collapsed in the kitchen. Dehydration. The doctor says it's nothing fatal, but she's shaken up and crying. Asking for you." I said nothing. "You made your point," he added. Loud and clear. My blood boiled. "Punishing you? You think I'm punishing you because I stopped being your ATM? My mom let me walk out of Christmas dinner like a ghost. Don't drag her tears into this." Silence. Then quietly, she told me about the chair. Said it was her idea. She thought Brian's fiancé would feel awkward otherwise. And it never occurred to anyone that I might feel unwelcome? We didn't mean it that way. That's the problem. You never mean it that way. But it's always the same story. I give and you take. Another silence. Then he whispered, "I miss you, son." Something twisted in my chest. Not pain. Not regret. Just clear, cold clarity. "I miss who you used to be too," I said, "before you sold me out for convenience." And I hung up. Days went by. Then I got a message. Not from Brian. From her. Brian's fiancée. The girl who took my seat. Text, "Hey, I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I just wanted to say I didn't know." Another message. "Your mom told me you'd be late. Said you wouldn't stay long. I only found out what happened after you left. If I'd known, I never would have taken your chair." And then the kicker. "Brian told me you were rich. That you'd be fine standing. That you didn't care about family stuff anyway. I'm so sorry." For a moment, I didn't know what to feel. Then the truth hit me like a punch. He knew I was coming. He told her to take my chair. He knew exactly what it would do. And he wanted it. Because deep down, Brian always hated what I stood for. Responsibility. Success. Consequences. He was the chaos they coddled. I was the anchor they leaned on and resented. Well, not anymore. The next week, I got an official email from my parents. Subject line, resolution proposal. Attached was a PDF full of budgets, timelines, plans for independence. It read like a business pitch. A desperate one. They were begging me to prove they could survive without me. Asking for 3 more months of transitional support. Then full financial separation. I stared at the numbers. Then hit delete. By March, the calls stopped. By April, I was off every shared account. By May, I booked a solo trip to Barcelona. And somewhere between the plane ride and that first bite of tapas, I realized something I'd never dared to believe before. I didn't need them. Not like they made me think. Not to define who I am. Not to prove myself. And definitely not to be owned by anyone. Barcelona was loud. Not because of the traffic, or the crowds, or the festivals filling the streets. It was the way the whole world felt amplified once I finally stepped out from under someone else's shadow. I wandered the Gothic quarter with my phone on airplane mode, no family group chats buzzing. No texts from Brian. No desperate voicemails begging for just one more loan. Just the steady sound of my boots hitting centuries-old cobblestones and the sweet thrill of silence. Silence I'd earned. Not one handed to me. Every night, I caught the sunset from a new spot in the city. On the 4th night, a stranger asked if she could share my rooftop bar table. She had wild curls and eyes that didn't apologize for staring straight through you. We talked for hours, about everything and nothing. She asked where I was from. I said, used to be a family man. Now I'm just a man. She laughed. Sounds like freedom. I nodded. Finally. Back home, life didn't stop. I got promoted. Led systems architect. The kind of role people fight tooth and nail for. Meetings with board members. Influence on the company's future. My manager said, you've been flying under the radar too long. People are starting to notice. That hit different. For years, I'd been the guy quietly holding everything together. At work, at home, everywhere. Now, people didn't just need me. They respected me. For the first time, I didn't feel like just a tool. In June, something unexpected landed on my doorstep. A wedding invitation. Brian and his fiancée. Rustic Vineyard. July 16th. RSVP by June 30th. I left it on my kitchen counter and stared at it like a test I already knew I'd fail. The envelope was thick, cream-colored, expensive. Inside, besides the RSVP card, was a handwritten note from her. I hope you'll come. He still doesn't get what he did. But I think part of him's scared to admit it. You were right to walk away. But maybe he needs to see you standing your ground in person. I stared at that note a long time. Then tossed it in the trash. July 16th. The day of their wedding, I spent it on a beach in Santa Cruz. Riding a rented bike along the cliffs, letting the salty wind blast through me like a reset button. I didn't check my phone until after sunset. 1 missed call. 1 message. He kept looking at the door all night. Like he was waiting for you. I stared at it. Didn't reply. Not to punish him. But because I was done playing savior for people who never saved a seat for me. August brought a surprise. I ran into Brian's fiancée, now his wife, at a bookstore. She looked thinner, paler, like someone forcing a smile through broken glass. She saw me, then walked over. I didn't expect to see you, she said. I live here, I said. She hesitated. Then finally, we moved back in with your parents. Of course they did. They offered, she said quickly. Said it was temporary. Brian's job didn't work out. He's still figuring things out. Always is. She looked down at her hands. He's not handling it well. Not my problem. Then she looked up. Eyes rimmed red. I know. I wish you were his brother. That stuck with me longer than I expected. Not because I felt sorry for her, but because for the first time, someone saw it. I didn't respond. Just nodded. Then walked away with my book. September, my birthday. I didn't expect anything. Wasn't waiting for it. But just before noon, a package arrived. No return address. Inside was a plain black box. A folded card. 1 line. You were right. About everything. I'm sorry. Inside was the whiskey I'd brought for Christmas Eve. Still sealed. They'd never even opened it. I sat there staring at the bottle. Then stood up. Walked to my balcony. Poured a glass. To no one but myself. By November, I'd sold my condo and moved out of state. New place. Bigger windows. New furniture. No ghosts. The final step? I changed my number. Deleted old backups. Burned the last bridge. But just before I did, I wrote one last message. Copied it. Sent it to Mom. Brian. Same words. No room for negotiation. This is the last message you'll get from me. I'm not angry. I'm just done. I gave you everything I had for years. Money. Patience. You used it. Spent it. Called it normal. Then left me standing. Literally. I'm not standing anymore. I'm walking away. For good. No hard feelings. Just hard boundaries. Goodbye. And finally I let go. Peacefully. Here's the part that really matters. I don't miss them. Not the guilt. Not the manipulation. Not the awkward silences after every no I dared to say. Not the invisible weight of being the family's support beam while they built castles on my back. I miss who I was around them. The guy who thought being needed meant being loved. He's gone now. Replaced by someone stronger. Smarter. Freer. So yeah, maybe I missed Christmas dinner. Maybe I stood outside the house I paid for. Holding a gift no one wanted. But walking away? That was the greatest gift I ever gave myself. And the last one I'll ever give them.